The duck is back. The duck is back. I hope you're all well and happy. You oil pumpers in? Wow! You wouldn't believe the drama of getting that little clip down on there, man. Like, yeah. So even those new needle nose pliers, I still had to adapt the end of them to get them to fit onto the clip. I'll just get them and show you. And this is, I mean, unless you're wanting to buy, what was that? And unless you're wanting to buy genuine pliers off Mr. H or somewhere like that, don't even go there as far as I'm concerned with the prices of the stuff. Is just, anyway, so you can see here how I've taken some off here because they were just too fat. They were sort of, oh sorry, I'm not do it in front of the, I've had to take some off the front here, and you can see, sorry, it's very hard to do this, front off there, and you can see this step here, which is, and then I had to take some off the inside. Oh God, let's try that again. I had to take some off the front here. Let me get a pointer. My fingers are just too fat. So where are we? Had to take some off here, take some off the inside here, take these sharp corners off, and yeah, just to close them up a little bit more. Just to close them up, get this distance here a little bit closer. Anyway, it's and I wish I had it got $10 every time I got a new tool, and then had to butcher it to actually get it. And that's not butchering it; it's just fine tuning it. But the thing is, basically, when you do that to any piece of tool or equipment that you get, basically you're just throwing the guarantee over the door, because if you took that back to them, they'd just say, "Oh no, they've been damaged. You've damaged them. You've done something. We're not giving you another one." So, but that's just the way it goes. My feeling is that these things will last a long time, because they're worth a lot of money. I was just looking for where they came from. I think the box said they came from England, but anyway, Fracom, never heard of that before. Anyway, so what I'm working my way around to is that I just put these. I might just zoom it in a bit. Yeah. I can't be bothered. I'll put the two bungs in the top here. And then as I was doing it, I was really thinking, well, I should just show you all what's involved with putting these little bungs in, all these little, just bear with me, these little pipe fittings. Okay, so I've got two of these to go in as well. One goes in here, and the other one goes in here for the breather or for the engine. So what I wanted to talk to you about is the procedure for these. So you could see how this has got a little. God, I'm doing it again. The sun is so bright in this workshop now. I'm struggling to see through the camera, but you could see here. See the muck on there, right? And you can see where it came up to there, about there. You see. And we want to take a mental notice of it. Mike, cut it out. A mental note of where that is, you see. So it's about 5 or 6 threads up where it's pushed the stuff back. And the quickest way, it's pushed it back. The quickest way to do this, right, is you just give it a quick clean with the buff. And I'm not going to show you. So just give it a quick clean and get rid of the old stuff that was in the thread. Now the other ones what were in the bike, they'd use some really hard glue, and I wouldn't recommend using hard glue. What I always recommend is, for things like this, is this 5, 6, 7 thread lock tight. I'm not really one for giving out promoting things like that, but basically that is what I would that's what I do use. I recommend this in a lot of, like, for your exhaust studs, not studs, where the nut goes on, right? And what we do here now is we get a bit on a screwdriver like that, right? And what we do is we just smear it on that 5mm mark, right? Okay, so we just go around like that. Okay, now if this was something that I hadn't done before, and I didn't know how far to put it in, I'd put it in and see where it started getting tight. Now the main thing, I can hear a lot of other qualified mechanics say, "Oh yeah, you got to be careful what you put on there." And that. But the thing is, if you allow this amount of thread, clear thread, before it touches it, what happens is it pushes it out the hole. You never put it in the hole, because then it pushes it in the hole, and you don't want this stuff in your engine, right? Okay, so you put it on the out, and then if you think that there's too much of it on there, you just go around and you scoop the excess off, okay? And it should look something like that, okay? And then when it goes in, it'll actually, because this thread here on these fittings is tapered. It's like this, you see? So the further it goes into the hole, right, the further it goes in, the tighter it gets. Now, these fittings, whether it's these or these tapered little bungs on the top here, right? You never screw them in till they're spanner type, right? Because they're on a wedge, because they're on a wedge, as they're going in, it's like driving a wedge into it's a wedge going into a piece of steel, right? Now, what you got to be careful of is that when you're screwing them into things like this where they're aluminium, it's the amount of load that you're putting on, right? And it comes with experience, but they don't have to be very tight. They've got to be tight enough that they don't wobble out, and in enough, so they don't leak. Okay, and it's an experience thing, right? So I just checked that I've had this camera flop over. So I'll just do this one for you, and then I'll let you go. Basically, we just spin it in. Let's see. I'll move it a bit closer, and then you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, and then it's just a case of winding it in. Now the other thing that you've got to be careful with, especially with Harleys, is that the threads, most of the threads what they sell in the shops are BSP. Okay, so I can feel this getting tight already, and that feels like I've got the wrong spanner on there. I know I have, and I just love doing shit like that on the camera. This is something else I've been finding. They've been putting metric fittings on these, so watch out for that. Okay, so I can feel that now, and that's coming up, and you can see how I thought it was going to do it more. It's pushing that white stuff out, right? And that's what you want. And then it's a simple case of getting in there with a bit of soft rag and cleaning that off. Okay. Now, and that's basically it. Okay, and you've got to be careful, because if I kept winding that in and winding it in, there's a possibility that it will actually crack that cover open. Okay, so you've got to be careful. You really. Oh my God, I'm sort of all over the place today. I apologise, but that's just the way it is. That's the best way, and I say to you again, I can't emphasise it enough. So the 567 Loctite is a special formulated Loctite which is made for aluminium, right? A lot of those other Loctites, they're not made for aluminium, and they go like concrete. And then when you pull the bolt or whatever out, quite often the thread, it'll actually rip the thread out of your bike, because it's not designed for aluminium. So this is designed for aluminium, and the only thing is, like I say, when you're doing it like this, where it's going into a hole where there's oil galleries or behind, or like this is, you've got to make sure that you put it more on the outside. So when So, for instance, you never put it on the hole on the inside, because what that will do is when you put that component in there, it will push it down into the oil gallery, and then the oil likely pick it up and take it somewhere else. You don't want it in your engine. As far as this stuff on this is the stuff that I use on what would I use it? You know, especially on older bikes like shovel heads or old Sportsters, or anywhere, any old bike where they are bolted directly to the frame and there's no rubber mounting. Now those non-rubber mounted motorcycles, they vibrate like crazy, and that's why they literally vibrate themselves to bits. And this stuff, one of my first bikes was a Sportster, bolted in solid into the frame, and it was I had hotted it up. It was super fast and super powerful, as quick as what my my big block is. The problem is it used to vibrate like crazy, and the only time it stopped vibrating like crazy was when you were doing, even when you were riding it, it seemed to vibrate right through the bike. But at about 100 mile an hour, it was something ridiculous like that. It was like 100, just over 100 mile an hour, something like that. All the vibrations stopped. So hence you wanted it to ride it a bit quicker. But that was the main problem with that bike. You'd go for a ride and you'd come out and there'd be, you'd see the bolts would be coming out of the engine. So then I started putting this stuff on the bolts, and that was the end of the problem. And I'll tell you something else, what I was told when I was getting into bikes, well, into Harleys, is that the old fellas used to say to me, oh yeah, you just, when you get home, you just shoot round with a spatter and make sure nothing's coming loose, and make sure they're all, and you don't do that, right? Because you bet with this stuff, because it doesn't actually go off, right? It doesn't go like concrete. So what it does is it goes like a paste. And then when, I know I'm repeating myself, I've said this before, it goes like a paste. But then if it comes loose, you'll actually see the bolt might come out a bit, but it won't fall out. You'll see that it's, because it's too tacky. It's too much like plasticine. Anyway, that's your helpful information today, and I hope you guys are having a good one. I've spoken to the owner of this motorcycle. He's so happy that I made the special tool to talk that nut up. Okay, and he's just so happy that his bike is finally, after years and years of drama with other mechanics, he's finally getting it done properly. Something to think about. Anyway, any questions too? If you guys got questions or anything, or you want to see it, I say to you again that I haven't found it yet. There may be a provision in YouTube to do photos, but I haven't really looked into it, and I haven't got a lot of time. So if you're interested in some of the stuff that I've built or made, or you need to open up if you haven't got one already, you need to open up a Facebook account, and then that will give you access to Dux Mechanical on Facebook. And Dux Mechanical on Facebook, I have usually photos step-by-step procedures of how I make this stuff. And although it's not directly related to sometimes it's not directly related to motorcycles, but it's a very short walk sometimes with making this thing here to making the next thing over here. Okay, so and if you're like me and you like to try and make stuff and do it yourself and see whether, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about bringing your skill level up, you know, from Brian and Trevor, you know, bringing your skill level up so you don't have to take it to the workshop, or how else, you know, you can. It was another reason for me doing these videos, is so rather than me repeating myself to my mates and that, they can just go and find the video and watch it again, and then, you know, they might come back and have a question. But anyway, waffle. I'll end it there. Hope you guys are having a good one. I'm having a good one. Have a great day.